This is At Spiritual Speed, a podcast for your enlightenment. Welcome to episode number 2. This is
RJ Wright.
And what do you do, RJ?
I teach Hermetic Alchemy, Hermetic magic, ascension practices, self-mastery practices, and help people liberate their spirit.
Liberation. I love it.
Yeah.
What is Hermetics? Can we start there? Did I pronounce it right?
Yes,
okay.
yes. Hermetics comes from Hermes Trismegistus, the god of knowledge and wisdom, but dates back before that. Hermes is also another incarnation of Thoth or Tahuti in Egyptian, in the Egyptian pantheon, who's also the god of wisdom and knowledge, and all of our sciences stem from Hermetics. Even chemistry, which is the science of Kemet, that's why it's chemistry, science of Kemet, astronomy, astrology, mathematics, numerology, all are Hermetic sciences. So Hermetics is metaphysics, to the highest degree, is a study of how reality manifests. Yeah.
That's a word we all hear often, right? Is metaphysics. The metaphysical world is becoming more like everyday vocabulary, I guess.
Yeah.
So that all ties into Hermetics, and you said even science.
Mm-hmm.
So that's interesting.
In the past, the Hermeticists and the scientists were always the same people. It wasn't until the Roman Catholic Church wanted to control everybody that they separated the two. But now, since we're in the age of information, it's coming back full circle, and we're going to see a lot more advancement in science and technology over the next 5-10 years than probably we have in the last 100 years because of it.
So the technology that we see now, all of this, pairing with the metaphysical, you're saying is going to have like a marriage, a marrying?
Yes. Yeah.
Wow. That's going to be interesting.
Yeah.
And you're like, how many years ahead of the game? You've been doing this for how long?
I've been teaching for like 4 years, I believe. And I've been practicing for incarnations.
Wow. Like lifetimes you've been doing this, right?
Yeah.
And you work with everybody from very beginner to advanced?
Yes, everybody from... The beautiful thing about Hermetics is it's formless. It's not bound by religion or culture or any specific, thing. It's universal. So no matter where you come from, I've taught, Christian mystics, Islamic mystics. I've taught Irish mystics. I've taught, people from all over the world, and it's a universal teachings on how you develop yourself.
Because it's so much deeper than what we're seeing. Like you said, lifetimes you've been doing this.
Yes.
So what are your ideas on reincarnation and we're coming back in different bodies? Let's touch on that real quick.
So the Hermetic understanding of reincarnation, I teach through the 3-body system. We have our mental body, which is our spirit, our mind, and our spirit, the same thing. We have our astral body, which is our soul, and we have our physical body. What we carry on through each incarnation is our mental body, the light of our mind. So that's what we're developing. And in each lifetime, you have the ability to cultivate certain types of light in your mental body, which you keep forever. Like, this is where your inner genius comes from. Everybody has an inner genius. Everybody has this light that they've been cultivating for many incarnations, and a lot of people miss it because it's the most natural thing to you. It's who and what you are, and everybody has something that they're a genius at, but they miss it because it's so easy for you. It's the one thing that everybody's like, I don't understand how you do that. That's amazing. How you do that? You're like, that's what I do, bro.
Oh, wow.
But everybody has that, and then you can cultivate these diamonds, which you'll always have. Like for me, in my personal journey in this lifetime, I've always been in resonance with the truth, and being able to see the truth for what it is, and always been a loving, kind, person, compassionate person. Even when I grew up in the hood and gang banging and all types of stuff, like I always had a deep sense of like empathy and love for people. And those are things that I've cultivated through past incarnations. It's just a part of my spirit. Yeah. And we all have this to a degree. I've never met anybody who doesn't naturally have some really deeply ingrained magical rituals that they just do, no matter if they're into spiritual stuff or not. They're all just doing, they're just doing their thing, and we all have that, and that's the part that carries on with us through every lifetime.
I love that. That's an area that I like to talk to people about. Like when I do tarot readings, right? And they're like, "Oh, you got this gift," and I'm like, "You can go home and pull a deck and do exactly what I'm doing. I'm not special from you or anyone else. It's just how deep are you going, right?" But then people get a little weird with it when you're like, Divine Mother gave me a message, or you know, my spirit guides gave me a message. And people are like, oh, she's witchy, but it's like, but when you say God gave you the message, it's okay. But you know what I mean? What do you think about that?
I don't like using the word God because people have a lot of subconscious ideas and relationships to their concept of what God is.
Yes.
So in Hermetics, you learn that, you know, everything is everything. All is all. And the way that consciousness works is kind of like, you can think about it as you have cells in your body, you have bacteria on your skin. All these things have its own individual consciousness. It wouldn't function. You wouldn't be you if you didn't have these other layers of consciousness that's a part of you, but it's separate from you. Yeah. But it's still part of you. You wouldn't exist if you didn't have it. Yeah. It's from the microcosm always to macrocosm. It doesn't stop. And God being, you know, the consciousness of the universe, essentially. Yes. Yeah. And, you know, you can interact with any level of consciousness. You know, from once again the mind of the universe all the way to, you know, your arm hairs if you want to. I don't know. You know, and everything is essentially like living conscious energy. Everything has a spirit, you know, and different cultures they call it animism. Animism,
We're learning a lot.
It's understanding that, you know, everything essentially has a spirit. You know, if you have a camera, you know, if you don't understand the spirit of the camera, you're not going to be a good photographer. Yes. You know, but everything has a spirit, whether it's inanimate or not. And, you know, the infinite spirit being the spirit of creation, essentially. And you can connect to any level. And then you know, all the major systems and religions that have different deities and stuff like that, they're just different aspects of the all. And, you know, and a lot of the different religions and traditions just have different names and depictions of the same thing. Yeah. Literally the same thing.
And the idea is still there.
Yeah. And you can see this even in Christianity and Hindu and the Buddhist traditions and in Islam, literally is all same concept, is different name. Yeah. And it's interesting too because a lot of people will make assumptions about things that they don't know about, and they assume, oh, because they call this is different, but you know, you can never really make those judgments unless you prove it to be so or you experience it yourself. But the more that I've been able to learn and to study different traditions and cultures and things like that, it's the same thing. It's literally just different ways to connect to light.
We just call it by different names.
Yes, yeah.
So going back to religion and growing up, because we all essentially kind of had some idea of God and a religion growing up. What was yours like?
So for me, I teach high-level mysticism, so my whole life has been this mystic adventure. Like I grew up having like really, you know, profound mystical interactions. Like, I remember being like 2, 3. I lived in Phoenix, and I just remember like playing with the wind and controlling the wind and stuff. And that whole thing, like, wasn't in my imagination. I just remember literally being, just knowing how to do it, and just natural to me. I've always had interactions with spirits and ghosts and stuff like that. Like, and that's basically how I grew up. I was, you know, my family is Christian, of course, like Baptist and Presbyterian and all types of stuff. So I grew up going to different churches and got to learn different religions, even from, you know, Jehovah's Witness to, you know,
been down that route.
You know, I have, you know, tons of Asian friends I grew up with who were like Buddhists and Taoists and everything else. So I got a little bit of everything and you know, in my upbringing. So I got to see it from different perspectives and, you know, kind of, you know, be able to expand my horizon on you know, the concept of God and making sense of my experience.
I love that. That's one of my favorite things about you is I feel you have a big respect for everybody in their space and what they believe in, and the way that you kind of carry your teachings and the way you speak on TikTok. It's so beautiful because it's like it's a safe space that we know we could go and we could ask questions, like silly questions that you're like, I don't want to ask no one this, but that's something that you offer people, is that safe space. So it's beautiful.
Yeah, most definitely. I think it's very important to have that space because, especially when it comes to spiritual stuff, because a lot of people don't feel that they have people who they can, you know, open up to and share stuff with, because typically the mystic out of the family is like the black sheep, and go up to mom and be like, hey, you know, this happened.
I'm controlling birds, which he does. If you guys look at his TikTok, he'll be out there like, and is it the Hermetics that you're doing?
It's a type of qigong, you know, just connected to nature. We literally become one with nature.
You show that, like, there's literally birds coming to him in these videos. It's wild. You guys got to go see it.
Yeah, it gets even more extreme than that. Like, most of the stuff I try not to film, but when I go out to the woods sometimes and practice, like, literally the trees are singing to me. It'll be deer will come up and watch me practice for like 5-10 minutes at a time. You know, I didn't see a fox out in the wild until I was like 27, and when I really started going deep into my practice, like packs of foxes would greet me as I'm rolling into the woods, and like in the mornings, as the sun is coming up.
I'm like, come home with me, you guys.
It's really beautiful.
Wow.
And that's why I love teaching what I teach, because, you know, there's not many paths that build such a deep relationship with yourself, with your environment, with nature, with the universe, with, you know, your concept of God and your community. And that's why I teach what I teach. And it's a mix between Hermetic alchemy and Buddhist alchemy too, because only two systems that I've seen that tell you not to believe in anything unless you've proven it to be so. Everything is cause and effect. It's not just blind faith. It's, if you do A plus B, you get C. And, you know, you make your judgments from there.
Yeah, that goes back to, like, again, the space that you provide as a teacher is very much like, go learn for yourself. Like, here's your education, but also ask and learn. So it's kind of that idea of, like, if you love something, let it go and it'll come back. Like, you're telling your students, like, go learn. You're going to come right back here most likely, but go learn, please. I feel that's what I see a lot on social media from you.
Yeah, it's very important, because, like, even with everything I teach, I think it's really, you know, important that you don't accept anything as a truth until you have proven it to be so, because whatever you take on as a truth, your subconscious mind is going to make sure you see it as a truth. You know, everybody thinks that everything they know to be true is true. It's very obvious that it can't be that way. So, you know, a lot of us hold on to delusions or attachments and things like that, but because we hold it on as a truth, that's how we experience it. And you know, that's a really negative habit to have. You know, but you can use the same you know, level of consciousness for your benefit. You can take things on as truths that will help you. It can be kind of delusional.
It can get weird for a second.
yeah. But you know,
you find your way.
Always set the platform for truth. You know, and as long as you're looking for higher levels of truth, you get higher levels of truth, but you have to be in resonance with it.
Yes. It goes back to a quote from Manly P. Hall. This is like a space for all the truth seekers. It's like a rough idea of what he says. And I love that, because that's where the education is. It's by trial and error. It's learning what fits you, what doesn't fit you. And we're all unique beings, and we operate in our own way. And we've lived these lives, and some of us come to this journey at 10, 20, 30, 40. You have a lot of life experience. Like I said, that idea of unlearning a whole life, right? So that's what you're having to show people, is that how do you navigate those spaces?
And it's funny, so it's unlearning who you believe yourself to be, because we go this, you know, through this journey of accumulating all these attachments and ideas, and your own self-image is going to set your limitations of you know, how far you can liberate yourself. And, you know, that's the whole fire element aspect, is being able to shatter your limitations and your barriers, because in life, you know, it's not the things you want to do that get you to where you want to be, it's the things you don't want to do that stop you from getting there. So being able to break those.
Say that again. Get comfortable with being uncomfortable, right?
Yeah. And the more you do that, the more liberated your spirit becomes. And, you know, the more you get to live in your purpose. Like I said, unlearning who you believe yourself to be, we have all these astral things that bind us in, you know, and a lot of us are expressing those things instead of expressing our spirit. But the more you can live in your spirit and allow that part to be expressed, the more you literally begin to glow. That's why you're here. Like, your spirit literally shines and glows and radiates outward. But you have to let go of all the things that's holding you from that. And that's all the fear, the anxiety, the depression, and all these things that aren't real. They're all delusions. They're all things that we tell ourselves and make up in our mind. But, you know, getting to know, that's why know thyself. You know, Pythagoras, know thyself and you will come to know the universe and the gods. And that's a literal thing. It's a literal thing. The more you know yourself, you know, the more you can see your own divine nature, and you can express that back to that inner genius. You know. And like for me, I'm fortunate enough that I'm there. You know, I've done plenty of things in my life. I used to play video games for a living. I opened up one of the first virtual reality arcades in America, and I literally played video games for a living, and you know, help other people play video games for a living. So, but this is so much more fulfilling than like anything I've ever done in my life, because it's like my spirit's purpose. I've been doing this for many lifetimes, and like you know, somebody even said on the live stream last night, like you glow when you're sharing this or whatever, because like this is what I do. And it's just natural, you know. It's my inner genius. It's my, you know, my spirit expressing itself. And everybody has that. And you know, it's not until you unlearn who you believe yourself to be and get to really know yourself that you can fully express it. And that's what your magic is. That's, you know, when we talked about, you know, you being a part of the whole, there's only one you that's part of the whole. So that is your magic. Being 100% authentically you and being able to express that part of you, that's what your magic is. And that's your gift to creation. That's why you're here, is to express that part of God that is you, essentially.
And then with that being said, so like I was saying, we have this whole life, right, of all these experiences. You're saying to unlearn, to let go. But in that, do you feel there's power? Because I'm really big with pain is power. When people are like, oh, but I have a really traumatic life and I have a lot of pain. I'm like, oh, that's great. We got power to work with, right? Because it's about transmuting the energy, right? Letting that go, but also energy doesn't die. So what are we going to do with it now? And is that something you help students with?
So when it comes to especially high frequency mystics, you don't get to that level unless you experience some trauma. Like, and there's why would you? Why would you seek to master yourself? If you didn't experience something that took you down, you know, a deep dark rabbit hole, right? But once again, that's your power, you know. To a certain degree, we go through that so we can learn and you know, gain the skills and the understanding that we need. But once you get it, you know, you can let that go too. You know, some people accept the level of consciousness like, oh, I have to suffer to get the lessons of life, and that's not true. It's not true. But if you take that on and you hold on to that belief, then you're just lining yourself up subconsciously. But it doesn't have to be that way. You know, up to a certain degree, when you have your awakening or whatever, and you know, you become aware. Okay, cool. Now, how do you want the lesson? Because it can come with ease and grace. You know, but being able to take the lessons that you learn, that's what makes you you. You went through that so you can get to that level. Once you're at that level, you don't have to.
We're moving on.
But a lot of people accept it as, you know, never-ending, you know, lessons of struggle, and it doesn't have to be that way.
And that's such a hard space. I talk to so many people that say, I'm scared for good things to happen because they've had a lifetime of just hard lessons. And now they're like, well, if I let go and I hope that something good happens, what if it doesn't? Now I'm going to be disappointed because it's happened before, they say, and I'm used to it happening. And I'm like, well, you're self-sabotaging at the end of the day, right? You're expecting it to happen, so it's going to happen. What would you tell somebody who's scared to make that leap of faith?
The power of a self-fulfilling prophecy. And it happens, it goes in both directions. You know, if you get what you prepare for, always, because it's always you. Even in the highest sense, like the essence of your spirit is God. Your higher light bodies, your guides, your guardian angels, you. It's the higher part of you. So you're setting the tone for what your experience is going to be. Now, it can be easy, it could be hard, it could be traumatic, it could be whatever it is. But it's a self-fulfilling prophecy that you create. And, you know, you can navigate through it the way that you please. And it's developing powerful habits that help get you there. Because some people have a habit of being pessimistic. It's just a habit. You know, this is a program that runs, you know, where you can change your habit. You know, you can change your habit to see, you know, life in a more optimistic way and literally start to raise up in your perceptions. But you have to let go of old tuning forks and habits that become your experience and learn to cultivate newer ones and self-fulfilling prophecy. You know, and even within that, one of the things I've been sharing a lot lately is the self-fulfilling prophecy of, you know, we have these goals and ideas of what we want in life, but always leave it in a state of, I want to experience it far beyond my current level of understanding.
Wow.
Because if you just have this idea of where you want to be, you're going to get there. And then you're going to get there and be like, oh, it's so much more. But, you know, I have this idea and I am going to experience it far beyond my current level of understanding. have that as a set point. You know, you set the tone of what your experience is. You do.
Yeah.
This is why, you know, as above, so below, as within, so without. And, you know, you create the inner environment, and then that manifests on the outside of you.
Yeah.
So looking at that's pretty important. You know?
That's a huge energy shift for somebody.
Yeah.
Like, I want this, that'll be great, but how much more better can it get?
Yeah.
That's so, but going right back to that letting go, though, and that unlearning, do you think how that's, so let's say like class number 1 is the unlearning phase. What would be a quick little breakdown? You would say, this is your homework for tonight, start here.
So a big part of what I teach is training your subconscious mind. How do you train your spirit and subconsciously get yourself to where you want to be? So we have a practice called the black and white mirror. You know, this is the black and white mirror of your soul. And you list your positive attributes on the white side, your negative attributes on the black side. And whatever you write down, you're essentially crystallizing your thoughts, your feelings, your intentions into this physical realm as a placeholder for your energy. That's why it's called spelling. And that's how magic works with your subconscious. Yeah. Right? So on the white side of the mirror, you write down all the most amazing things about you, all your successes. These are the things I got going on for myself. Like me, I know I'm smart, but if I don't put a magnifying glass on it, can I really use it for, you know, its full potential, or I just kind of know I'm smart? Yeah. So when you put a magnifying glass on it, you amplify those effects. On the black mirror, you put all, you know, your negative stuff, you know, all your failures, all your karmic stuff that, you know, you think about before you make decisions. You know, you could be lazy or, you know, avoidant or pessimistic. Sometimes write those things down. And, you know, your subconscious will begin to give you pathways to understand and correct these things by writing them down. Wow. It's essentially your dialogue between you and your subconscious mind when you write things down. Wow. Yeah. And
that's wild.
Yeah, it gets really deep. It gets really deep. The most important aspects of the black mirror are the subconscious things that you do not see. And these are the things that, you know, they're learned behaviors from, you know, childhood trauma and things like that, and just programs that run, and they're just who we are. You know, we just take that on as, this is who and what I am. But to find those, you know, you ask the people close to you. Ask your parents. Your parents know you better than you know yourself. You know, ask them, hey, what are some things about myself I do not see? Write it down. Don't get upset because you might hear something. You know, but, you know, write it down. Add it to the black mirror, and those things that start to come up, you're telling your subconscious, you're welcoming this stuff up to the surface so you can correct them, and they will.
That's the spark that's going to just.
Yeah. Yeah, the subconscious mind is very, very powerful. You have direct communication with it always. You know, the spiritual realms are your subconscious mind. The astral realms, you know, feeling, action, belief structures. You know, your attachments. The mental realms is the higher light realms, and then that's what the spiritual realms are. Yeah. So you're telling that part of you, hey, look, let's get rid of this, and it happens. Yeah.
I love how you said spell work, because, you know, again, going back to that idea of like there's taboo stuff, right? And you hear spell work and it's like, is it witchcraft? But it's like, no, it's you. That's your mind. It's your, like you said, those multiple lives that have come to this being to learn these lessons. And thinking of your journey in your space, what was your big enlightenment moment? That you said you've realized it from a very early age, but when was it like that big shift that left what you were doing, that it was like, because this is what you do full time, correct? Yeah. So when did that happen?
You want my whole origin story?
Cliff notes.
Well, trauma. I was married for a while. You know, things weren't really going well in the marriage, and we ended up separating. And, you know, I wasn't the best person at the time, so got to the point where I essentially hated myself. And then, you know, we separated. I got kids and stuff. So for the first time in my life, I was separated from my children, and, you know, we're used to eating dinner together, tucking them in, and everything else, and I'm just alone. So, you know, that played really heavy on me. And this was like December 12th, and I don't even remember what year it was, you know. But got to the point where I didn't want to be here anymore. I tried to kill myself, you know. And it's really interesting because I was running a car lot at the time. I literally took a car and drove it into the garage. You know, let it run, ran out holes, dual exhaust, ran holes into the car. And you know. So
you were serious. You were in business.
Yeah. And you know how long it usually takes somebody to go from that, like 15, 20 minutes. I was in there for 2.5 hours.
Oh my God.
Yes.
And you're very, very smart. So brain's intact.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
Yeah, I was in there for 2.5 hours.
Wow.
And still here. So.
No side effects outside of the lesson in it, right?
Oh, I'm sure I'd like really mess myself up there. But, my parents didn't raise me, right? Mm-hmm. And after this, my mom was like, I never had a really close relationship with my mom. Mm-hmm. And she invited me and my sister to come to Utah to spend some time with her and her husband, because she had, they live in the mountains of Utah. So Christmas, we went there for like a week and spent some time with her, the first time ever, and as an adult.
Wow.
Yeah, so
in the mountains, tucked away,
yeah,
like.
and this is after that first attempt, and ended up there, and we started to develop this relationship, mm-hmm. and it was really cool. For the first time in my life, as a whole adult in my 30s, mm-hmm. like, we were texting each other every day, and then it was really cool. And then I come back home, and once again I'm alone again. And New Year's Eve, I filled the prescription that they gave me for the first time on New Year's Eve, mm-hmm. and I downed the whole bottle with like a fifth of Crown.
What?
Yeah, and like 6 of those pills will, you're likely to have a seizure.
Wrap it up, yeah.
I ate 60 of them.
Wow.
And downed it with Crown, and I was in my hotel room, and all types of stuff happened. It wasn't until like almost 24 hours later I made it to the front and told them, hey, look, I'm still here.
I kind of did something.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, and I was in the hospital for almost a week after that. And when I was in the hospital, my mom had called me, and she told me, she was like, RJ, I don't know exactly what you're going through, but you're meant to be here.
Yeah.
Like it's very obvious you're meant to be here, because you're still here. And you have a purpose to fulfill. And you better figure out what that is. Mm-hmm. And later on that night, my mom had a stroke. The last time I talked to her.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. And it's really crazy, because like I said, she never raised me, mm-hmm. and ended up being one of the most influential people in my life.
That quick.
Yeah. And like 9-10 days later, she died. She's brain dead from that night forward. Yeah.
God.
Yeah. So then I get out of the hospital, and I'm like, well, I gotta do something now.
Yeah.
I can't let
on that
down.
note, like, we really got to make it worth something, right?
Yeah.
How beautiful of her, though, to leave you with that. Like, it's like this giant Easter egg of like, here you go.
Yeah.
Run with it.
Yeah. So I get out, and I'm like, okay, well, I've mastered all these other things in my life. I've done a lot in my life. Like, mm-hmm. I've done, from photography, videography, done music and travel, performed all over the place. I've done all types of stuff, And I'm like, I've mastered all these other things, I think it's time I master myself.
Ooh.
And
yes.
And like, I really took that on, and like the very next week, my cousin Demetrius came to my house, and we started meditating. I was never really into meditating, mm-hmm. Before this. Like, literally, I was never really into meditating, but something came up. Okay, let's meditate.
Yeah.
So it's like 2:00 in the morning, and we were like in my apartment or whatever. We were like meditating. We got the binaural beats on YouTube playing and stuff like that. And I'm sitting there, and something just comes over me. It's like, just do the most natural thing.
Mm-hmm.
Just do what feels natural. Become very still. Allow everything to become still. And I got to this point where, my vision turned all white. My mind's eye turned all white. And, I grew up with aphantasia. It's a thing. It's a thing where you don't really see things in your mind's eye. I didn't know people could see things in their mind's eye until I was a whole adult. I'm like, what? You see something? But everything turned completely white. And I got to the point where I kept disconnected from my breath. Uh-huh. And it was really scary, because it felt like, literally like I was about to suffocate and die. But I was like, okay, just trying to take myself out twice. What I got to fear? So I went beyond that. And once I got to that point, literally got to the point where, I could see my body just moving on its own. I could see my body just moving on its own. And I started to create this giant ball of chi, like in front of me.
Yeah.
And I'm just watching my body do it as I'm in a state of meditation. I'm just watching my hands literally go up like this, and I'm creating this huge ball of energy. Like, I can feel it building, and I'm just watching it happen.
Yeah.
And Next thing I know, my hands go and they wash over my face like this. I can see sparks. I can feel literally like one of the most amazing feelings I've ever felt in my life.
Yeah.
And I go through and I'm still building this like giant ball of energy. And I just remember closing my eyes, and it got to a point where I started to leave my body. Where even though my eyes are closed, my awareness expanded out of my body, and I like and it was really, really interesting. And then I literally left my body, and then ended up like in the cosmos, like talking to God. So I touched Monad and had that experience, and it was really, really beautiful. I just remember standing over the cosmos, and I'm like, okay, well, I'm here. Well, what do I do? And like literally, I can see each one of my kids one by one, from youngest to oldest, come up and they spin around and like smile like in the stars. And then when it got to like my wife at the time, it's nothing. I couldn't even like think of her name or her image or anything. So like literally, like I was like, take care of the babies and do your thing. And I had a couple of more questions and stuff like that. So we went through that whole experience, and I came back to my body. When I came back to my body, I had this light, this energy literally surging through my crown, down through my body, and and it was super duper strong. I brought my awareness into my physical body. I was able to heal myself. It started from my mental body. I could literally feel all this chaos from all the depression and stuff like that. Is all this static in my mental body. I was able to heal it and literally bring it into the equanimity and quietude. I was able to go through my physical body and heal myself from, like, I'm pretty sure I was messed up from everything that happened. I literally was able to go through each one of my organs and completely heal everything, like everything within my body. And it's crazy because my cousin Demetrius was like sitting, like I was on my bed and he was like on the chair, like on the other side of the bed. And I was like, I came back, I was like, maybe I should tell him what happened. So my body is still doing this. And I'm just, moving my awareness, through it. I'm like, okay, let me tell him. So I come back to my body. I'm not fully in my body, so I try to tell him. I like kind of like fall over. I'm not quite fully, fully in my body. I'm like, hey, Demetrius, look, this is what happened. And I, ran through it. And I was like, I'll be right back. Went right back to it, and then went right back into that mode, and continue to like heal myself and everything else. And
on your first meditation ever?
Yeah.
Wow.
And ever since then, my life has been different. Like the very next day, I could feel my energy. I could feel my astral body. I could, like, life looked different. Everything was much more vibrant, and I could control my energy and my mind to a level that I couldn't do before. Wow. And the very next day, I went to Demetrius's house, and his mom was there, and she had something wrong with her eye. Her eye was like droopy, it was brown, it was like infected or something, and she couldn't even see out of it. And like I knew people could do like energy healing and stuff like that, but I didn't know anything about it. I didn't know about Reiki, I didn't know about Qigong, I didn't know about any of that stuff or whatever. But I'm like, hey Margaret, let me try something real quick, and
let's test this out.
And she was like, okay, cool. So I did, put my hand up to her eye, like, projected some healing energy to her or whatever, and literally she could move her eye, she could see out of it, the pain was gone. I'm
not surprised because I've experienced RJ sessions twice, so I felt it, I know what you're capable of. But how wild, like your very first session, essentially, right? Your very first meditation, it wasn't like tippy-toeing. They were like, no, we're going to show you fully what you're capable of, because we really want you to, this needs to be all of you. It's kind of what it sounds like.
So, and ever since then, just been, growing, learning, tuning into, all the past skills and understanding and stuff that I've had, and sharing that with other people.
And looking at how possible it is. That's the biggest thing with this podcast. I want people to see real life people, and it's possible to come from a life of whatever it is, whether it be an okay life, crazy life, whatever it is. You have the power. You said it. It's a matter of letting go and detaching from the idea. And I love what you said. Like, I want this, but show me how much better it can get. So don't cap yourself off. That's so amazing. So what do you do on a daily basis to really keep yourself in this amazing space? Because we're humans, and life will be life-ing at us, right? So what do you do? What do you do to like stay there and be this optimal version of yourself?
It's where you ground your awareness. I teach different methods of how to do it. You know, it's very hard to make change from the bottom up. You got to make change from the top down. And that takes training. You know, you have to develop the mind, develop the relationship with your astral emotions, so you can alchemize those, so that they're not pulling you back down, because it happens. You know, for everybody. So you know, developing a method to, you know, alchemize the stuff that you feel. When something comes up, you have the power to change it. You know, you can match it and let it control you, or you can look at it, you know, from above. You can even contemplate it and release it. You know, but you begin to change your relationship with these things that are triggers and you know, patterns that you have. And that's the primary thing, because the only thing that's keeping you from being enlightened is what? Where do you have to go to be enlightened?
Up here.
Well, through time and space. What do you have to do? Where you have to go? Nowhere. It's there. You already have it. Everybody has it.
Like you said, grounding where you're at up here. You're present. And you said we have all the life keys from different lives up here. So you're like this giant energy bank of like the universe has consistently just been putting in there throughout the life. So staying up here, and you're saying staying grounded.
And because it's universal knowledge, you know, it means something on every level. So people will say like, be present, or be here, be now, or whatever. And that means something different on every level. Physically, it means something different. Emotionally, it means something different. Mentally, it means something different. You know, akashically, in the non-dual light realms, it means something different. But it means something on every level, you know, and being able to quiet your mind and quiet your emotions gives you a state of equanimity where you can see things as they are. You start to bypass your astral filters. Because we have these beliefs and attachments and aversions and stuff, and whatever we experience filters through those beliefs and attachments. So we never really experience what is, we experience what our belief and our label of that thing to be. So developing a method of equanimity and quieting your mind allows you to bypass the astral filter, so you can see things as they are. That's why all the monks and yogis say that life is an illusion, because it's a literal thing. What you experience in your life is essentially an illusion.
Because of all those filters. The filters that you say we've developed throughout this life, living this life, which is, you know, we could argue the traumas and all the experiences. So going right back to that idea of getting rid of that, detaching from that, and experiencing life for what it is. Can you elaborate a little bit more on that? That was so beautiful.
Experiencing life for what it is. So back to the three body system I teach. Mental body, astral body, physical body. Your astral body is made of all your belief structures, your emotions, your traumas, your labeling system. And when light enters into your awareness, it literally goes through that filter of your astral beliefs. That light is attached to your mind, your spirit. You know, your spirit and your soul are one until your physical body dies and your astral body dies away with it. But what gives you your perceptions is all the stuff that's stuck to you. And literally to liberate your mind is to be able to release those things. And this is why a lot of people don't understand Buddhism, because once again, it's universal knowledge. It means something on every level. So on the lower levels, you can say, oh, okay, I need to release my traumas. I need to release my attachment to this.
Sounds great in theory.
But that's not what it means. Your spirit is literally holding on to these concepts and ideas. You're literally grasping onto it. And if you don't have the mental strength to realize how you can let it go, it's literally binding you in. When I left my body, I was letting go of all of the things that my spirit is holding on to. Pure consciousness, and you're literally holding on to all these astral things, and you release them, and your mind, your spirit literally becomes free, and you can raise up. And those things you hold on to, that's what gives you your experience. So it gives, it's your astral ego. Your astral ego, that's what's there. So the goal isn't to like kill your ego or to, you know, anything like that. It's to refine your astral body so it works in your favor, so none of the negatives are pulling you down. You can see life in the higher levels of truth. That's what spiritual growth is to see higher levels of truth. You know, there's only one objective truth, you know, and in Egyptian Hermetic knowledge, right? You see the symbol of the sun is a circle with the dot. You know, the only truth is a circle, the infinite, all. That's everything. That's infinite intelligence. The spirit of creation is a circle, but it's not zero. It's infinity. You know, there's no such thing as non-existence. It's zero, which is infinite.
It doesn't
and then it's infinity coming into form.
Oh, wow.
That's what the dot is. So it's the Akasha, or infinite spirit, the Holy Mother, and then the Holy Father, or the mind of the universe, coming into form. So it's formless coming into form. Yeah, so it's 0 and 1, and then you know,
that was heavy.
Everything below that is all these different polarities and different levels of truth. You know, outside of infinity, that's the only objective truth.
Yeah.
And once that comes into form, you have two different perceptions. You have two different truths. A looking at B. Right? And think about all the way down to the physical realm, which is the most dense level of creation, and how many different polarities there are, and how many different levels of truth, and how everything is subjective depending on your own perceptions. You know, so the goal is to let go of all of that, and your mind literally raises up and becomes more and more free until you become one with the all. You're literally releasing everything that's below you. Your mind raises up in frequency because we have all these attachments that keep us into these lower realms of understanding.
Right?
Yes.
All that's the anchor, and your spirit's trying to raise up to that ultimate consciousness, but the life that's been life in is pulling you down.
Yeah. And astral energy is sticky. It's chi. Chi is literally sticky energy. And I teach people
that gave me
how
chills.
you literally touch it. Like you can feel it, you can work with it, you can alchemize your astral body, you can alchemize your mental body, and life just becomes, you know, a lot easier, more magical, because that's what life is. You know, but you can't really master it until you understand the universal lawfulness of it. And you can't even fully understand the universal lawfulness of it unless you're pretty much psychic. Like your mind literally has to be able to touch these formless aspects of life to understand it.
Yeah.
Because it's really hard to bring things into form that have no form.
We just talked about so much. We just learned, it was like a crash course, right? A little 101 on how to start your journey. But I think the biggest idea is that it's possible no matter where you're at in life. That's what I really want people to know, is with people like RJ that teach the way you teach and have experienced what you experience, with a good mentor, with a good teacher, you can do it. Even just starting on your own, like just planting that seed of I want to do better, just start with that, I think is fair enough, and let the universe reciprocate and put that frequency out there.
Yeah, most definitely.
What does 2024 look like for you?
A lot of big things coming up. In January, I'm presenting at the Yoga Expo in LA. It's January 20th and 21st, I believe.
Wow.
I have an exhibit at the Conscious Life Expo, February 9th through the 12th in LA too. It's going to be at the Hilton by the airport. Okay. I have a couple retreats coming up. I host workshops and retreats in Sedona, and those are really special because it's all for practitioners, people who I teach. So we go for 4 or 5 days, and we go through each one of the elements. And Sedona is a very, very powerful place.
Yeah.
I've had past experiences there. Like my first time there, a Navajo shaman stopped me and told me about my past lives there, and how he saw all the power and stuff walking and guiding me.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah. So I do workshops and retreats there, so I'll have a couple of those lined up next year, and also looking to do a trip to Egypt in October.
Oh my God, next year?
Yeah. So that'll be like a 10-day thing, and we're even taking a boat down the Nile to visit all different temples and stuff, and we'll have our own private Egyptologist with us. And
oh my God, I might have to sign up for that one. I've always wanted to go to Egypt. How many spots do you have for that one open?
For that, we can take up to like 20 people.
Okay.
So.
Oh my God, I love that.
Yeah. And then beginning in 2025, I'm doing it's a month-long trip in Japan to Shikoku. It's an 88 temple pilgrimage that people have been taking for 1,000 years or so. It's 88 temples on Shikoku Island, and you visit all 88 over the course of some people do it over the course of like 90 days on foot. Yeah, it's a big island. Some people do take a couple weeks and drive from temple to temple, but I'm gonna take a month out and do that, and that's gonna be beautiful.
So you're worldwide next year and on.
Yeah.
You're going to touch everybody, all the continents, get you everywhere. I think everybody needs to experience you. I mean, just this, with this recording, I'm just like sitting here, like, I'm sure the whole time I'm like, because just being around RJ, you feel the energy. You're such an amazing space. And I feel like just being next to you, it sparks so much learning. Every time I see you in person, it's like, I feel like I kind of get like a new little path open. It's like, okay, go learn this. You plant seeds with everybody I think you come across. So where could we find you on social media?
On TikTok, it's Align to Your Highest. On Instagram, it's the same. And those are the two primary things. I'm working on putting more content on my YouTube, but everything is Align to Your Highest.
Okay. And then you do one-on-one sessions too on top of the classes?
Yeah, I do one-on-one sessions. I do quantum healing sessions, attunements. I can give you skills and all types of other things too. For the classes, right now I'm doing is a year-long subscription membership thing, because what I teach, you can't just get it in 4 weeks. You can't, it's a process of building these bridges of understanding, and you just grow and evolve. So it's a year-long thing, and I have a whole video library that right now we're about 200 or something videos. Some of them are like hours long. So it's teachings, lectures, practices, group meditations, and it's really, really powerful. I've had hundreds and hundreds of students over the last couple of years, and it's been beautiful. So you don't just get that, you get the ability to join in on all the Zoom meetings. And right now I'm doing 4 lectures and Zoom meetings a week. And that's included with the course.
Wow, the year-long membership?
Yes.
Oh my gosh, that is so amazing. This has been just being, like I said, being in your space is amazing. You inspire and enlighten just being around you. So thank you so much. Oh, and don't you have an Etsy shop? Oh, there's a hummingbird. 2 of them, 3 of them. Don't you have an Etsy shop too?
I do, and it's also Aligned to Your Highest. I have t-shirts like.
Yes, those ones.
These t-shirts I designed. This one's Medicine Buddha. I have hoodies and all types of other really cool things. I'm also going to be doing custom talismans, like one-on-one talismans, and charge them up and bless them for you. So if you have, if you need protection, if you need things for wealth or whatever it is, or whatever's meant for you, we can tune purely into spirit and allow your spirit to charge it up, and whatever's meant for you. Super powerful. You'll feel it. These things start to glow. Yeah. So I'm going to start putting those on the Etsy shop and promoting those on TikTok too.
That's amazing. So they'll have like a one-on-one session with you. You'll talk about intentions, and then you'll make the piece.
Yes.
I'm gonna need one of those. I remember the first time I met RJ, a good friend of ours, a mutual of ours, brought him over to my desert house. And that morning, I got the message of the shirts. Spirit just kept saying the shirts, the shirts, the shirts. And I was like, okay, what were the shirts? What is it? And I kept seeing a shirt with just like lines and all kinds of just mazes and stuff on it. And they're like, just tell him the shirts, he'll know. And I never knew you. I just knew your name was RJ. And he's like, I'm bringing my friend. And I was like, what was it about the shirts? And you're like, oh, I sell these sacred shirts. And I was like, and I love it, because when people are as powerful as you are, you just project your spirit guides to my spirit guides, and you communicate. And it's like, okay, this is a good space to be in the validation. So I know from personal experience that RJ is an amazing, trustworthy, smart being, and I just hope that everybody watching this gets to get in one of your classes.
Oh, thank you.
Thank you so much for being here and giving me your time. It's priceless.
Thank you for holding space for me too.
Yeah, and if you guys have questions, throw them in the comments. I'm sure RJ will be happy to chime in. Go to all of his socials and check out, especially TikTok, Gems on TikTok.
Yeah, definitely.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you.
Peace.